Okay, so let's dive right in. You're starting a new business, you've got the idea, you've got the drive, everything's falling into place. And then, bam, you hit a wall. You need a logo. And what should be this really exciting step suddenly becomes a huge point of stress. So you reach out to a branding agency, all excited, and the quote comes back $3,000 for a logo? Before you've even made your first dollar in revenue, it's beyond frustrating. And it makes you feel like you have to choose between going into debt or just slapping something together that you don't even like. But what if I told you that that's a false choice? You don't have to compromise. There is a much, much smarter way to get a professional logo that you are genuinely proud of, no matter what your budget is. And in this explainer, we're going to walk through exactly how to do it. So here's the game plan. We'll start with why that $3,000 logo problem even exists. Then we'll cover how you can design your own logo and make it look good by following a few simple rules. After that, we'll explore what actually makes a logo great in the first place. Then we'll get into how to use AI tools as a powerful assistant. Next, we'll get super practical with budgeting and the final files you absolutely must demand from any designer. And finally, we'll make sure your logo is ready for the web. And hey, just so you know, I've put together a super in-depth written guide that goes way deeper on all of this, and the link is right down there in the description for you. So the big question on everyone's mind, can you really just design your own logo? And the answer is a big, resounding yes, you absolutely can. And you can get a genuinely professional result, as long as you follow 5 critical rules before you even open a design program. Okay, these 5 rules, they're like the secret sauce. They're what separate the pros from the amateurs. First, and this is the big one, always design in vector. That just means your logo can be stretched from a tiny app icon to a massive billboard, and it will never, ever get blurry. Second, stick to just 2 or 3 colors max. It keeps your design clean and can actually save you a ton of money on printing. Third, test it at a tiny size. Seriously, shrink it way down. If it looks like an unreadable smudge, it's going to fail as a website icon. Fourth, make sure it looks just as good in pure black and white. And finally, the golden rule. Keep it simple. If you have to explain your logo to someone, it's already too complicated.
And as for what tools to use, well, Canva's fantastic if you're a beginner. Adobe Express gives you some really polished options. Luca can be great for using AI to just brainstorm some initial ideas. And if you're a little more comfortable with design, Figma and Inkscape are amazing professional-grade vector tools that both have free versions. The full guide in the description actually has a detailed breakdown to help you pick the perfect one for your skill level.
All right, so we've talked about how to do it. Now let's get into the really fun stuff. What actually makes a logo work? What makes it memorable and lets it last for decades? This is where we talk strategy. You've basically got 6 main types of logos. You've got your word marks, like Google, your letter marks, like IBM, and your pictorial marks, like, the Apple logo. But for almost every new business out there, I strongly recommend the combination mark. That's an icon plus your brand name. Why? Because it's super flexible. You can use them together, or you can use the icon by itself as your brand gets more well-known. So what do all great logos have in common? They follow these 5 principles. It's got to be simple, because our brains just recognize and remember simple shapes way faster. It has to be memorable, so it sticks in someone's head after a quick glance. It needs to be versatile, meaning it has to look good everywhere, on a pen, on a website, on a building. It should be timeless, so you're not chasing trends and redesigning it every couple of years. And finally, it has to be appropriate. A fun, bubbly logo just isn't going to work for a serious financial firm, right? Now, I want you to just look at this number. $35. What can you even get for that? Maybe a couple of fancy coffees and a pastry? Well, that's exactly how much Nike paid a design student for the swoosh back in 1971. And today, it's one of the most recognized symbols on the entire planet. The lesson here is so, so important. A logo's value comes from a simple, powerful idea, not from a big, scary price tag. We go through each logo type in the full guide to help you figure out which one is right for your business. Okay, it's time to talk about the elephant in the room, AI. Can't you just type a few words into an AI generator and have it spit out the perfect logo? Well, the answer is kinda, but not really. AI is an incredible tool, but, and this is a big but, you have to use it smartly. So here's the honest truth. On the plus side, AI is amazing for brainstorming. It can generate 100 different ideas in a few minutes, which is fantastic for just exploring different styles. But the downsides are huge.
The logos are almost never unique enough to be trademarked. The typography often has weird, subtle flaws that just look off. And most importantly, there's zero strategic thinking. The AI doesn't know your customers, your competition, or your story. So my advice? Use AI for ideas, but take your favorite one to a human designer to actually build it right.
And this is why that human touch is still so critical. The best logos aren't just cool pictures. They communicate a clever idea. It's like a little inside joke. So take a look at these logos. Can you spot the hidden message in each one? See the bite in the Apple logo? That's there for a really practical reason, so you don't mistake it for a cherry. Simple, right? In the FedEx logo, there's a perfect arrow hiding between the E and the X, suggesting speed and precision. And that Amazon arrow? It points from A to Z to show they sell everything, and it doubles as a customer smile. That's the kind of clever, strategic thinking that AI just can't do yet. The full guide has a bunch more of these to get your own creative juices flowing. Okay, let's get down to brass tacks. Let's talk about money, and maybe even more importantly, what you absolutely must get for your money. So, using a template tool yourself is going to cost you somewhere between $0 and $50. A big branding agency, they're going to start at $1,500 and go way, way up from there. But for most new businesses, the sweet spot is right here in the middle. A good independent designer will typically charge between $100 and $500 for a totally custom, professional logo. Now, I need you to listen really, really closely here. This next part is non-negotiable. I don't care if you pay $50 or $5,000. Before you make that final payment, you must get this exact checklist of files. You need the vector source files, that's AI and EPS. Think of these as the master keys to your logo. You need an SVG for the web, a PNG for when you need a transparent background, and a PDF for print. And you need all of this in both full color and in black and white. And let me just shout this from the rooftops. A JPG is not a logo. It's a picture of your logo. It doesn't have a transparent background, it gets all pixelated when you resize it, and it will cause you nothing but headaches down the road. If a designer only wants to send you a JPG, the job isn't finished, period. The full guide has a whole section on how to write a simple brief to make sure you get all these files without any drama. And last but not least, let's talk about the place where your logo is going to live most of its life: online. A logo that works on the web has a few specific needs that you have to think about right from the beginning. There's a simple 4-step process to nail this. First, define your brand identity before you even start. Just ask 3 questions. Who is my audience? What 3 words describe my brand's personality? And who are my competitors? Second, for your main website logo, you have to use the SVG format. Third, make sure you get a horizontal version that fits nicely in a website header and a more stacked or square version for social media profile pictures. And fourth, always test the final design on a real phone, a real tablet, and a desktop screen before you sign off on it. And this chart right here shows you exactly why SVG is the undisputed champion for the web. It supports transparency, so no ugly white box around your logo. And it's scalable, so it looks perfectly crisp and sharp on every single screen. PNG is your backup plan, but you should never, ever be using a JPG for your website logo. Look, if you remember just one thing from this entire explainer, please let it be this. Getting a great logo has almost nothing to do with how much money you spend. It has everything to do with how clearly you can explain your vision. That knowledge is what gives you the power to get an amazing result without breaking the bank. Now, everything we've covered here is really just scratching the surface. The full written guide, which is linked right down in the description, goes so much deeper. It has a complete breakdown of all the logo types, a detailed explanation of what makes a logo timeless, an honest look at different AI tools, and of course, that crucial file format checklist you can just copy and paste. It's got everything you need to make a smart, confident decision. So please click that link and check it out. If this explainer helped you and solved a real problem for you today, do me a favor and hit that like button. It truly helps us get this information out to more new business owners who are feeling stuck. And of course, subscribe so you don't miss what's next. Finally, I've got a question for you. After all this, what's your plan? Are you going to DIY your logo, give an AI tool a try, or hire a professional designer? Drop a comment below and let me know. I read every single one. Thanks so much for watching.